Whenever I play games solo, I usually have a Reddit stories video on my second monitor hanging out in the background. So today, let's combine them. Welcome to the first installment of Cozy Games and Reddit Stories. In these videos, I'll be playing a cozy game and reading from certain subreddits or sticking to a theme. Today, we'll be playing Stardew and reading from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. I'm gonna start a brand new farm and I have a few mods that I'll stick in the description. So focus up or just relax as we judge some people and enter the valley. Today's first story is, am I the asshole for expecting my wife to help with the tidying up? We are both mid-30s, been together for 11 years and have 3 kids, the youngest being 11 weeks old and the others 4 and 6. We have a fairly big house and I am the sole earner for the family. Our 2 eldest kids go to school 5 days a week and my wife looks after the 11-week-old. To preface, I'm not saying that watching an 11-year-old is easy work. He gets upset often and likes to be held for comfort, which she is very good at providing. The problem is literally everything else gets left to me. She does do the washing, not ironing of clothes, but school drop-offs, pickups, all packed lunches, all cooking in general, 2 meals a day, all dishes, ironing and cleaning and tidying gets left to me. I wouldn't mind, but my wife has a habit of stacking random useless stuff in random useless places and just leaving it there. For example, leaving all recycling on the kitchen table, leaving clothes and toys on the table, leaving random bags and other things on the stairs, in the bedroom, etc. I'd leave it for a couple of days, but then it adds up, and I end up cleaning everything and moving it all. Today, I spent nearly 3 hours cleaning after work, and harmlessly said I wouldn't mind if you made a bit more of an effort with the tidying. And then she started being defensive, saying I watch Nathan, our baby, all day, which is true, but he is quite happily put in his chair for an hour. It's not like she gets no time at all any day of the week. Anyway, I feel like a dick now, but in the back of my head, I feel like it isn't unreasonable to ask for a little help. It can be quite overwhelming at times, and I'm tired. Okay, so this guy's obviously the asshole. His wife just pushed a baby out of her 11 weeks ago. But let's look at the comments. Someone said, you're the asshole, so the hours she doesn't have to hold him, she is supposed to work to clean the house. Maybe she also deserves a rest. You probably get a lunch break, but are you doing housework then? That's true. He wanted her on her only time that she can put the kid down to tidy. Someone else said, you're the asshole. The house is in your hands, and the baby is in her hands. When was the last time she slept through the night? When did she have a few hours to herself? When did she last get to leave the house without the kids and have adult time? That's true. I feel like looking after an actual human child is probably a little more overwhelming than having to do some chores for a little bit. I mean, I'm sure this isn't a situation that lasts forever. The kid is going to grow up, but as the kid grows up, the mother is still going to have to care for the kids. This guy was labeled asshole. He obviously is an asshole. He's not the biggest asshole ever, but he's definitely an asshole. Okay, moving on to the second story. This one is one of my favorites of the ones we're going to read today. Am I the asshole for losing weight for my friend's wedding, although I'm already the skinny friend? I, F28, recently lost a fair bit of weight, and now my friend, F30, is saying I'm trying to upstage her at her wedding. My best friend, Emily, got engaged at the end of last year and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was super happy and of course said yes. In the past 3 years, I have put on some weight, about 2 dress sizes. It didn't really bother me until recently, so I decided to use the wedding as an excuse to lose some weight. I just find it easier to do if I have a goal and an end date. This past weekend, we were bridesmaid shopping, and Emily was acting kind of weird towards me, giving me funny looks and talking over me. The 2 other bridesmaids, one I'm friends with, the other I don't know very well, didn't seem to notice, so I brushed it off thinking she was just stressed. Me and Emily live really close to each other, so usually after something like this, we would hang out for the day at one of our houses, At the end of the appointment, I asked her whose house she wanted to go to, and she scoffed and told me she was going home. I asked what was wrong, and this is when she went off on me. I don't remember word for word what she said because I was so confused and shocked, but these are the bits I remember. She basically said it was clear I was trying to lose weight to upstage her at her wedding, that I was already the skinny friend, and now I'm just trying to make it all about me, especially as I never cleared my weight loss with her. She said I clearly knew what I was doing was wrong because I was still wearing oversized clothes to disguise my weight loss. I just hadn't updated my wardrobe and preferred to be comfortable over wearing tight-fitting stuff. I don't consider myself skinny, but I am the smallest out of the four of us. I also didn't think about how changing my appearance would affect her vision for her wedding. I've never been a bridesmaid before, so I don't know if that was something I should have considered. So I don't think I'm the asshole for losing the weight, unless I am, but am I the asshole for not telling her I was gonna lose weight? So this person's obviously not an asshole, and the other person has some jealousy issues and some controlling issues. But someone said cleared your weight loss with her? Is she fucking kidding? That is the stupidest and most controlling thing ever. Some people, not the asshole. Agree. You just because someone's gonna be a bridesmaid in your wedding doesn't mean you have control over their appearance. If you want to be really crazy, you can control their dress and their makeup and the way they have their hair. But weight loss is that person's body. Someone else said, not the asshole. Jesus Christ. I can't anymore with these bride stories. My two bridesmaids were smaller than me, a lot smaller than me. But honestly, that thought never even crossed my mind at the time. They're my best friends. They would have been my bridesmaids no matter what. If they were supermodels, if they were 800 pounds, if they had pink hair, no legs, hairy armpits, full body tattoos, whatever. They weren't my bridesmaids because of how they looked, or worse, because of how they made me look. They were my bridesmaids because they were my best friends, and I loved them, and I wanted them to be there with me on my big day, no matter what. Agree, I don't understand this at all, but don't worry because update. First off, thanks for all the support as well as all the spelling lessons. They have cheered me up a lot. Not sure if anyone wanted an update, but you're getting one anyway. I called my friend as I'm currently away for work, so couldn't meet face to face. Spoiler, it did not go well. I started by telling her it was not my intent to make her feel any kind of way, and tried to explain I had already been on my weight loss journey before she got engaged. I asked her if she really thought I would be vindictive enough to try and upstage her at her wedding. Apparently, this was the wrong thing to say. She started ranting about how I think I'm better than her, how whenever we go out together, no one ever looks at her, only at me. I don't think this is true, as she is very pretty, and I'm pretty average looking. Here's where it gets bonkers bananas. She told me that her ex-boyfriend, who recently got married, is gonna be at the wedding, and for a while he was thinking of leaving his, at the time fiance, to ask me out, but my best friend convinced him not to. I had no idea any of this went on, and would have been appalled, because one, that's just weird, and two, he's my best friend's ex, and now I'm pretty sure she's still in love with him. I have been uninvited from the wedding, unless I put the weight back on. Then I can come, but not as a bridesmaid. Safe to say, I now have a new motivation to keep the weight off, and she'll not be attending any weddings in the near future. She's always had a temper, and has flipped out at me over random stuff before, but nothing ever this insane. I guess I'm gonna have to get better at identifying red flags. That's crazy. Telling your best friend that they have to put weight back on if they want to come to your wedding. Clearly not a friend, definitely not a best friend. OP, definitely not an asshole. Our third story is, am I the asshole for showing up to my nephew's birthday party without the cupcakes I said I would bake? A couple of weeks ago was my nephew Sam's 10th birthday. I love Sam so much. I will probably not be lucky enough to have my own son, so I am happy to be able to know him. But I don't have a great relationship with my older brother. He did everything the right way. Good grades, good school, good job, good wife. I have always been jealous of how easily being normal comes to him. I did not do well in school, got into a lot of trouble, didn't finish college, I've picked shitty boyfriends, basically every wrong choice you could make. Suffice to say, he and I are not on the same page, and he doesn't take me seriously. But one thing he does appreciate is that I can bake. He asked if I could bake cupcakes for the party in a Spider-Man theme. Of course. Well, then I was laid off. I didn't do anything wrong except be the last person hired. I was devastated and ended up drinking with my roommates instead of baking the cupcakes. It just felt like another in a long line of stupid things. I ended up going to the grocery store and buying cupcakes at 2 different stores, which was hard on the bus, but it was important. Thank God it's graduation season. I showed up and told my brother up front what happened and apologized. He said, "You've got to be fucking kidding me." He was furious. I apologized a bunch of times. I never once made an excuse. It was 100% entirely my fault. He told me I shouldn't have even come, and the cupcakes were the only reason he'd invited me. I felt awful and left without seeing Sam. My mum called me when I was on the bus ride home to ask me why I would be such an airhead and to show up without the one thing I was invited for. She said she thought she raised me smarter than that, but then said, "Well, I guess not," with an ugly little ha at the end. I accept that I am fully 1000% responsible for not having the Spider-Man cupcakes, but I think I did my best to try and make up for it by getting any cupcakes I could find. I didn't show up empty-handed. I didn't put it on them to come up with a solution. Am I wrong? Was it the wrong thing to do? So I feel like this is an everyone sucks situation, which is what this was labeled as. Uppy clearly sucks for not baking the cupcakes after saying that they would and making a commitment to it. But only being invited for the cupcakes and being turned away when you turn up without the homemade cupcakes is kind of crazy behavior. Someone said, "Everyone sucks here." Yes, you screwed up, and you probably let down your nephew. He seems to be the only member in the family you have a relationship with. But to say that's the only reason you were invited is cruel and heartless. Maybe you need to take time away from all your family and work on yourself. Learn to put up boundaries and how to keep up with your commitments. Yeah, agree with this person completely. But another person said, "You're the asshole." It felt like another in a long line of stupid things. So then you did another stupid thing. Makes sense. I appreciate you going out and trying to find a solution for your mess up, but the mess up was easily avoidable. You just didn't need to drink with your roommates. You made a commitment and had a responsibility to bake. You could have even drank and made the cupcakes. I do think it was rude of your brother to say the cupcakes were the only reason he invited you, though. That's true. So I still think this is an everyone sucks situation. OP sucks slightly more, but being invited just for the cupcakes and being turned away is insane behavior. Our next story is, am I the asshole for blowing up at my parents for something my adult sister did? I, 26F, have a sister, Amy, 28F, who has always had a difficult relationship with food. She was bullied as a kid and turned to food for comfort. As an adult, she still struggles with self control, especially around things she finds appetizing. Our parents have never set boundaries with her around food, and that carried into adulthood. She currently lives with them, and they do all the grocery shopping and cooking. My husband, 28M, recently had a birthday, and I planned a surprise party. I sent him out of the house for a few hours so I could set up and asked my parents to come help. I directly asked them not to bring Amy setting up. Setting up involved putting out snacks, drinks, and a homemade cake with frosting. They showed up with Amy anyway, saying it wouldn't be fair to exclude her. I gave her a few small tasks and directly asked her not to touch any of the food until the guests arrived, but I was too busy to keep a constant eye on her. At one point, I went into the kitchen and found Amy with the fridge open, eating the frosting out of the mixing bowl. She had eaten nearly half of it. As soon as she saw me, she burst into tears and said she only meant to try a little bit but couldn't stop. My parents heard us and came in. She said it wasn't that big of a deal since the cake was untouched and I still had enough frosting for a crumb coat. But I had planned to do specific decorations and now there wasn't enough frosting. I didn't have the time or ingredients to make more. My dad suggested going to the store to buy a tub of pre-made frosting, saying it was the same thing. I explained my husband tries to avoid a lot of the ingredients found in store-bought frosting and wouldn't want that. My dad said to just not tell him since he wouldn't even know the difference. That suggestion was super frustrating to me. I told my parents that they couldn't convince me this was no big deal and that they had allowed this by not setting boundaries with Amy's binge eating and by bringing her to set up. They told me to back off and to be more sensitive to my sister and that it wasn't her fault. I responded by saying I was more angry at them because at least Amy had felt bad while they were trying to downplay the situation. They got upset and said it wasn't fair to blame them for Amy's choices and that she was an adult and they can't control her. They also said they were trying to help by giving suggestions and that I was being stubborn by shutting all of them down. They ended up leaving and now they're giving me the silent treatment, even though Amy has apologized for eating the frosting. Am I the asshole for involving them in this? OP's sister is 28. That's long gone, fully grown adult, and OP hasn't mentioned anywhere that there's learning difficulties or anything like that. It's just binge eating. But even when you have eating problems, you usually have eating problems with food that belongs to you. You don't go into a grocery store and just start eating everything you see because it looks appetizing. You realize that food doesn't belong to you. You haven't bought it. It's not yours and you don't eat it. And that should have been the same situation here. Someone said, not the asshole. You knew this could be a problem. You asked your parents to leave Amy at home. Your parents refused. You asked them to keep her out of the kitchen. They refused. Amy ruined your plans for the cake and your parents gave unhelpful suggestions. And they're mad because you were right? Because you spoke up? Agree. Someone else said, not the asshole. Amy can apologize all she wants, but she's a grown woman who chose to do exactly what you asked her not to. She's an asshole, and so are your parents. Enjoy the silence. When they eventually call, ask them first thing if they're calling to apologize. If not, say bye and hang up. Agreed. This is obviously the parents' fault and Amy's fault. But it's not like Amy's a child. Like I said, this is a full-grown adult. OP's not the asshole. Okay, moving on to another relationship problem. Am I the asshole for opting out of laundry and leaving my clothes in piles, since he won't help unless it's his clothes? I, 27F, am 4 months pregnant and just moved in with my boyfriend Peter, 27M. The baby was unexpected, but we're excited. Things have been better lately, though we had a big fight while moving in because I didn't unpack fast enough to keep the floor clean. He hates having stuff on the floor. We talked it out and will help each other around the house. One thing we agreed on was doing laundry together, sorting lights, darks, colours. I've been handling some cleaning, cooking dinner and doing dishes. The other day, Peter started a load of laundry. I got home from work, finished it and put the clean clothes on the couch. I was exhausted, so I asked if he could start folding while I finished cleaning and I'd join him after. He said no, because he didn't want to fold my clothes. I didn't get it and kept pressing him, which led to a fight. Turns out, he just has a thing about folding other people's clothes. Like he has a thing about clothes on the floor. I've been trying to stay on top of laundry for him, but I personally don't mind clothes on the floor, clean or dirty. Eventually, I was too tired to argue and just went to sleep. When I got home the next day, I expected the laundry to still be on the couch. Instead, he had folded his clothes and put them away, and put my clothes into bins in our room. I thought this was mean, but he didn't really get why I was upset. We talked again, but we were at an impasse. He won't fold my clothes and insists I fold my own. But I told him if I have to fold everything myself, I won't be keeping up with his standard of cleanliness if he won't compromise or help. So now I've told him I'm not doing team laundry. I'll keep my clean/dirty clothes in piles on the floor like I used to. He says that's unacceptable and wants to be able to run laundry when he wants, but I'm done. I know it's immature to leave a mess on purpose, but I'm frustrated. We are supposed to be a team. I even asked if this was a cultural thing. we are from different countries. But he said no, it's just his personal quirk. He says it's okay because he'll fold the baby's clothes, but I'm doing the cooking, cleaning, and shopping, and I'm working, and I'm exhausted, and I can't help but wonder if I'm too pregnant to even bend over soon. Are my clothes just gonna end up in bins in my room every time? So this person was labeled the asshole, which I don't quite understand because I think both of them suck. He definitely sucks a bit more because he doesn't get to just have quirks that mean that she has to do extra work without even explaining to her what that is. But here's where sometimes this subreddit doesn't make sense to me. Someone says, you're the asshole for getting yourself pregnant with someone that useless. If you're cooking, cleaning, doing the dishes, and doing laundry, what is he doing? But that's not why she was asking. That's not the question she was asking. She wasn't asking if she was an asshole for getting pregnant. But she ended up being labeled the asshole because people were voting that. And someone else said, this sounds exhausting and you're bringing a baby into it. Best to sort it out before the baby arrives. Agreed. And then someone said, the things we learn about people only after we move in with them, not the asshole. Boyfriend does not get to have competing quirks that require you to do extra work to ensure he doesn't get offended. He can keep things his way and let you keep things your way. Or he can be helpful in keeping your things his way. Agreed, so she doesn't mind having her stuff in piles on the floor, but he wants his stuff folded. But he refuses to fold her stuff and won't let her keep her stuff in piles on the floor, but he wants to keep his stuff folded. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this person was labeled the asshole. I don't think they're the asshole. I think they both suck a little bit and they just need to communicate with each other on exactly what it is that's bothering them. But this person was labeled the asshole. Now we have, am I the asshole for telling my 6-year-old nephew he is not special? After he told me he can do and get what he wants because everyone calls him special. I recently went to visit my family. One weekend, we were supposed to go with my sister and my nephew to an indoor playground/arcade, but something came up on her end, so I offered to take my nephew since we did plan to make a day out of it. She agreed, and overall, it was a lot of fun. He was fine the entire day, did not fuss or anything. My mum asked if I could pick up her order from Target. I was in the area, so I said sure. The order was not ready yet, so we killed time by walking around. Apparently, this was my grave mistake. I was unaware my sister gets him whatever he wants when he wants it. She does very well for herself. He showed me a Nerf gun he wanted. I commented and said that it was cool. He did not ask for it or anything, and he still had it in his hand. I did not think much of it in the moment, since I did the same thing as a kid, and when it was time, I would leave it at the counter. My mum's order was done, so I went to pick it up, and he fully expected me to buy it. I told him I was not going to buy it, and maybe he could ask his mum for it next time. I offered to take a picture of it so he could show her exactly what he wanted, and that is when he told me his mum would not mind. She always gets him what he wants because he is special, and special people get whatever they want. In this context, I kind of get, in hindsight, from a kid's POV, no one really tells him no. I told him I was not everyone else. I had no intention of buying anything at the store. He doubled down and started to fuss, telling me I had to listen to him because he was the kid and he is special. And that is when I told him he is no more special or unique to anyone else. He was still giving me a hard time. During that time, my mum called. I picked up and she shouted at me because I would not buy him what he wants. My mum told me to stop being so cheap and to buy it. I was starting to get embarrassed and very uncomfortable. I had no idea how to handle the situation, so I bought it because we were making a scene, and I don't have much experience with kids. When we got home, I explained the situation to my mum, and my mum and sister were not pleased. My sister told me she does not believe in telling a child no. They also were mad I did not reaffirm that he is special, because he should be the most special person to me. He is a gift and such. My sister struggled to have kids. So that's crazy. What do you mean you don't believe in telling a child no? You have to tell a child no. I don't blame the 6-year-old. It's a 6-year-old. They only know what they are taught. And that behavior has been allowed. This guy was labeled asshole, but he was labeled asshole for buying the toy, which again is not what he was asking, but okay. Someone said, I was on board with you until you gave in and bought the toy. You're the asshole for that, unfortunately. Also, what was your response to your sister saying she does not believe in telling a child no, and her being mad at you for not reaffirming that he is special? I sincerely hope you told her how unhinged that is, and that she is only doing her child a major disservice that will haunt him later in life. True, yeah, the kid only knows what he's been taught, unfortunately. Someone else said, You're the asshole for giving into the behaviour, but a gentle one. You obviously panicked and were embarrassed, and just diffused the situation as easily as you could, which is forgivable in that this is your first rodeo and it was an experience. This has reaffirmed to the child that everyone exists to cater to his whim, and you took an opportunity to put a crack in the spoiled nature, which turned into a confirmation that he is above all others. Definitely a learning experience, and hopefully you see this. You were only trying to do what is best. Yeah, so I don't think this guy is an asshole. Honestly, I also would have just given into the situation. But the mum and the sister is the asshole in this situation. Definitely not the child. There were a few comments here that were trying to say the child was a complete asshole, and like, come on, that's a 6-year-old child. They only know what they're taught, and this child has clearly been taught that he is special and he gets whatever he wants. So how do you expect him to know anything better? But yeah, this guy was voted the asshole. Now we have, am I the asshole for locking the office fridge after someone kept stealing my lunch? I, 34M, work in a small office with about 10 people. We share a communal kitchen, including one fridge. Over the past month, my lunch has been stolen 5 times. Not just random snacks, entire homemade meals I bring from home, gone without a trace. It's not just frustrating, it's expensive and messes up my day. I mentioned it a couple of times in the group chat, like, hey, someone's been taking my lunches. Please stop. Everyone either ignored it or sent vague messages like, that sucks, or some people are the worst, but no one took responsibility. So I bought a mini fridge and put it under my desk. Nothing fancy, just enough to hold my meal and a drink. I also put a little lock on it for extra peace of mind. Since then, no more stolen lunches. Well, last Friday, one of my co-workers, I'll call her Dana, 29F, confronted me during lunch and said it was weird and selfish that I had a personal fridge. She said it made me look paranoid and not part of the team. I said I was tired of my food being stolen, and this was the only solution that worked. She said I should have just bought stuff I wouldn't care about losing, like snacks or microwave meals if I was so worried. A couple of others have now made little comments, like, don't let him see your lunch, he might lock it up, or we get it, you're special. I'm starting to feel like the weirdo in the office for just protecting my stuff. Am I the asshole for locking up my lunch instead of keeping this happening? No, not the asshole. That's insane behavior. What do you mean only bring stuff you care about losing? Like snacks or microwave meals. So you just have to bring stuff just you know that other people are gonna take? That's insane. Someone said not the asshole. Sounds like Dana is hungry now she doesn't have free lunch. Yeah. You can't like if this happened to one of these other people, they'd be mad about it. Also, it sounds like they're all in on stealing this guy's lunch. Not the asshole. It's not paranoia when it happened 5 times. It's a fact. You took an action to prevent it happening again. Good on you. It sounds like Dana isn't happy that she can't steal your lunches anymore. Yeah, like if I had to lock up my lunch so people wouldn't take it, I'd lock up my lunch so people wouldn't take it. This guy is obviously not the asshole. Now we have, am I the asshole for stealing my dead sister's name? I, 19F, have been having an ongoing argument with my mother since I was about 15. Out of the blue, she asked me to change the spelling of my name. Now, I have one of those names that already can be spelled several ways, so it's a rare occasion people spell it correctly, but it's a point of pride for me when they do, because that name feels like it really belongs to me. So changing the spelling out of the blue was a bit jarring and uncomfortable for me. It may not seem like a big deal, but at 15, I was really struggling with my identity, and I felt like my name was the only reliable part of myself. My mother claimed to want me to change my name because she's super spiritual and had gotten into this belief system that equates the letters in your name to the amount of success you'll have in life. I understood where she was coming from, but I was still frustrated because if she wanted my name a certain way, she should have just had it that way 15 years ago. One time, I tried to voice my concerns to her with a long text pouring out my feelings while she was overseas, but she dismissed me and called me, saying my text ruined her vacation. Eventually, we came to a compromise that I only needed to put this name on school related things. However, recently, she's been doing things like changing my name on Netflix profiles, editing my name on social media, and even going as far as altering my signature on my art. This has really been bothering me, so I went to her about it, and she hit me with a bombshell as to why she's been doing all of this. A while ago, I was told that my mother had a child before me, but she was premature and passed away shortly after she was born. My mum got pregnant with me not long after. However, the strange part was not only did she have me so soon, she gave me the exact same name as her previous child. The only thing she changed, the spelling. I had always been a bit insecure since learning this information, but deep down, I felt like a replacement child. But now, my mother is angry at me for having the same name as her other child. I really don't think she ever stopped mourning her, and I can't blame her, of course, but it's been negatively impacting everyone around her. Anyway, whenever I ask her about our deal, she goes back and says that's your sister's name, not yours. I'm unsure why this is something that only started bothering her when I was 15, and something she only voiced when I was 19, but it's a non-stop reminder now. I tried to voice this concern with my dad, but I don't know how to explain it without sounding like an asshole. Hey, can you tell mum to stop comparing me to a dead baby? Deep down, I probably am overthinking things and should just go along with what she says, but I still want to take charge of my own life. My name never belonged to me, but I wanted to make it my own. My parents think it's disrespectful, but my younger sibling, 17, thinks me having to change anything is ridiculous. Am I the asshole? Definitely not the asshole. Your parents gave you that name. They should not have given you that name if like this was even a possibility of happening. Opie said, okay, to add on to the previous post, a lot of people are asking for a bit of clarification. My full legal name has a couple of extra letters thrown in there to be different than my sister's name. However, I have one of those names that's usually just shortened, for example, Alexander to Alex. So for all intents and purposes, I use that name unless it's a legal document. My parents also gave me this nickname, and they also only use it for me rather than calling me by my full legal name. This is the name that resonates with me the most, the name that everyone in my life knows me by. This is also the name that has a spelling similar to my sister's full name, so my mum wants me to now change it to fit my full legal name, even though she was fine with it until now. This person is clearly not the asshole. Some comments. You didn't steal anything. She gave you a name. You like the name. It's your name. If you want to change it, then do so. If not, then don't. You wouldn't sound like the asshole if you said to your dad, hey dad, could you please talk to mum and ask her to stop comparing me to my deceased sister? Someone else said, your sibling hit the nail on the head. Being asked to change anything is ridiculous. Your mother is in dire need of therapy. I cannot stress that enough. You need to stand firm on what you want, and your mother can manage her own trauma, not the asshole. Agree. I think this is a thing where the mother could have brought it up and go, hey, this is how I'm feeling, this is the reason how I'm feeling. Would you be open to changing your name slightly? And then if OP goes, no, I don't want to change my name, I like my name, the mother has to just accept it. They made this choice. It's on them. Entirely on them. This person's obviously not the asshole, and they were voted not the asshole. Now we have, am I the asshole for not bringing my niece shopping after she was extremely rude/mean to me, even if she apologized? I do not have kids. I also have not really had a lot of experience dealing with kids before my niece. I don't have younger siblings or cousins. I never babysat, etc. I'm explaining this because this is my blind spot and why I'm posting. About a month ago, my niece Gabby and I were at the park together. I like to spend time with her and usually take her out to do things just the two of us every couple of weeks. While we were at the park, I was talking about an event I am going to attend with my boyfriend of a few years. She asked to see my dress, so I showed her a pic of me in it. She made a yucky face and said, "That's so ugly. You look really fat. Isn't my boyfriend gonna think it's bad?" I was so hurt. She's only 13. I'm not even a big girl in any sense. I have fat on my body, but I am definitely not fat. My sister was surprised and said she would talk to her. A few days later, she had Gabby come over to apologize. From my POV, it was not sincere. She was rolling her eyes and looked angry and just got out the words. I told her thank you for apologizing and then I told them to leave. I have not gone out of my way to spend time with her since. I had told Gabby I would take her shopping for the summer and we'd pick out fun stuff together. I look forward to doing things like this with her, but not really anymore. When we were at my mum's house for Mother's Day, Gabby asked me when we would go. After her stunt, I've changed my mind. I said she probably has plenty of summer clothes to wear. She was upset and kept saying, "But I said I was sorry," over and over. I told her I know she said she was sorry, but just because someone says they're sorry doesn't mean that their actions are forgiven, that you have to prove to the other person you won't do it again, and she hasn't. My mum and sister say I'm expecting adult behaviour from a child, and that it was ridiculous to cancel the shopping date. I am apparently beefing with a child at my big age. They said that she apologised and hasn't said anything else rude to me since. They asked me how long I'm going to hold it against her. I really don't know how to take this. I trust their judgment most of the time, but this was just an outright mean thing from her. I am worried that as she grows up, this behaviour will continue and she will turn out to be a bully. Am I the asshole? I don't think this person is an asshole. Also, this person is not expecting adult behaviour from a child. They are expecting a teenager to not be rude, to not expect rude things. As someone said, not the asshole. I think 13 is old enough to understand right from wrong, and this will be a good life lesson for your niece. She can learn that her words and actions have consequences. She doesn't regret what she said. She just regrets that it ruined her shopping spree. This person hit the nail on the head, absolutely. She does not regret what she said. She just regrets that it resulted in something. Not the asshole. Teachable moment. Actions have consequences and peoples have feelings. She hurt you. The words "I'm sorry" are not a magic formula that make the hurt disappear. Relationships are a two-way street. It's about time she learned that. I wouldn't go out of your way to be cold to her, but neither would I initiate any fun aunt niece activities. At least until you judge that she gets it and actually is sorry, instead of just apologizing to satisfy parents / escape punishment. Agree, this person's not the asshole, and they need to accept that 13 is not a child, that's a teenager. I know it's the very first year of being a teenager, but at that point, you're in high school, or in the UK, you're in high school, and you have been around enough people and have had enough relationships / friendships to know that you can't just say mean things to people. This person's not an asshole. Okay, moving on to a kind of funny one. Am I the asshole for offering eggs to a vegan stranger? I, 25F, own a few chickens. They're more pets than livestock and I love them. They produce a lot more eggs than I can eat, so usually I'll give them to friends and family, and normally people are pretty happy about that. Last week I spotted some interesting books on eBay. I texted the seller. She was nice. We agreed on a price and scheduled a date for when I could pick them up. So far, so good. That same day, I realized I had some leftover eggs and wouldn't see anyone I usually give them to for a couple more days. So I thought, hey, I got a great price for those books. She was nice, I'll just bring some as a small present. Boy, was I wrong. When I got there, everything went smoothly at first. She, middle-aged woman, helped me load the books into my trunk. I gave her the money and then I reached over at my passenger seat and grabbed the eggs. I only got to, "I bought you a little something," before she went absolutely nuclear on me. She screamed about her whole family being vegan. How dare I bring those atrocities onto her property? If her kids saw them, they would be a huge temptation for them, and so on. She even accused me of using animals for my own satisfaction and wealth, which is obviously not true, and got me pretty upset. I immediately backed up, took the eggs, got the hell out of there. She was still shouting at me when I backed out of the driveway. I kind of chuckled to myself about how crazy that was, until I told a friend about it a couple of days later. She said she kind of understood the woman's perspective. The eggs count as triggering food, and I should be more careful offering them to people who might have a specific diet. I honestly didn't think anything of it at the time. I'm a vegetarian myself, and if someone offers me a sausage at a party, I simply politely decline. It's not like I tried to force those eggs on her. I just thought it might be a nice thank you to someone. By that logic, you can't gift anything to anyone you don't know, because it might be triggering. But I'm trying to be a good person, aware of other people's opinions and issues, so Reddit, please tell me, am I the asshole? Disclaimer, I am not in the US. I've read about eggs being super expensive there right now. Where I live, they're not that valuable. Okay, this person's obviously not the asshole. That person could have just politely declined, like normal people do. This person said, I'm vegan, and if you offered me eggs, I would say no thank you, like a normal person. She was way out of line and super rude, not the asshole. As a fellow vegan, I can confirm this is the way vegans usually react. A simple, no thank you, or a, I appreciate the offer, but I don't eat eggs. I hate it when rude people ruin it for everybody. Agree. I can't eat gluten, and if someone offered me something that had gluten in it, I would say, I can't eat that. Sorry, thank you for thinking of me though. I'm not gonna go off on them and go crazy because you don't know. And I'm not going to expect everyone to look at anyone they don't know and just assume they can't eat something and therefore they wouldn't offer it to them. That would be a very sad world. This person's obviously not an asshole. Our next story is, am I the asshole for asking my boyfriend to reconsider our 50-50 financial split after moving in together? I, 26F, have been dating my boyfriend 28M for almost 2 years. We moved in together about 6 months ago. Before we moved in, we had separate places and generally split things when we went out, dinners, trips, etc., which felt fair. But now that we live together, I've started to notice how unbalanced things feel. We split rent and bills 50-50, which on paper sounds fair, but I make significantly less than him. Like he's in tech, making nearly 3 times what I make. I work in education, so 50% of my income is going towards rent, and for him, it's maybe like 15% or something. I've had to cut back on a lot. No more gym memberships, barely going out. Meanwhile, he just bought a PS5 and went on a weekend trip with his friends. I also end up doing more of the cooking, cleaning, groceries, laundry, not because he demands it, but because he just doesn't really do it unless I ask. I brought this up recently, and he said I'm being unfair and trying to change the rules we agreed on when we moved in. He says it's not his fault I chose a lower paying career, and that if we start doing things based on income, then what's next? Keeping score on everything? I'm not saying he needs to pay all of the rent or anything. I just think 50-50 isn't always fair when one person makes so much more. My friends are kind of split. Some agree with me. Some say I knew what I was getting into and it's not fair to expect him to pay more now. The only thing I'm asking is for my boyfriend to realize and to be considerate of the fact that half of my money is being spent on our rent and to try and find some sort of compromise or something. So am I the asshole for wanting to stop splitting 50-50? I do not think this person is the asshole. It doesn't matter if you've agreed on something, your boyfriend should notice that it's something that is not benefiting you, or it's something that is very clearly benefiting only him and something that's putting stress on her. Instead, it should be split based on the income that you have. It should be split that way. Like you give 20% of your income, he gives 20% of his income, and that makes up the amount that rent and bills are. Obviously, it might have to be 30%, but it should not be like that. Someone said you've actually lowered your standard of living by moving in with him. I'm guessing you were paying less rent previously while increasing your workload by doing a lot more household stuff for him. And not just for yourself. Your boyfriend might think this is fair, but it's not. And it's not sustainable. Whatever you may have thought you agreed upon moving in, you're not tied to that. Now that you've noticed it's not working, it's okay to renegotiate or to move out. Edit, you're not the asshole for asking your boyfriend to reconsider. If your boyfriend is fine with the current arrangement, that lets him know he is happy to enjoy your company, your labor, your misfortune, or because it's nice for him, even though it's not so nice for you. Agree. Yeah, everything I already said before, this person is not the asshole at all, and the boyfriend is being a bit of an asshole. So now we have something a little bit different. We have a would I be the asshole if I fire my best friend? I, 34F, have had a best friend since we were 15. It has been a good friendship in general. I advanced way more in life though, so when I needed to help with the family company that I run because I was doing a PhD, she was unemployed, so I hired her so I could have one less thing to do. It was supposed to be for the time I finished the PhD, but then I got pregnant and delayed finishing it, although now I am a few weeks away from getting the degree. I changed accountants as I hired one that was really bad, so I had to change again. And while I had the bad one, he told me about some inconsistencies. He was wrong, but it made me look into it. And I always transfer her around $800 for the day-to-day expenses, petty cash. She was supposed to take this money from her account and use it as needed. The thing is, I realized that she could only account for about $500 each month for about 2 years. So there was approx $300 missing per month. I asked her to look into it and we had a fight over something else. It was not bad, but I took my time to talk to her about the money issue. I told her she needs to tell me what happened with the money, and if she spent it, she needs to leave the company. She said she would, and she thinks she might have spent it, because she did not do as told and just kept the money in her account, but she did not do it on purpose, and she understands if she needs to leave, that she loves working there, and that means she needs to return the money. She does not see herself as a thief. She told me the only thing she cared about was me and my baby, that she does not care about leaving the job as much as she cares about continuing to be part of our lives. I don't really like her boyfriend at all. They live in a house with the lease under my name. I told her I needed to resolve that too, and she said she would try to resolve it. Now, I think I'm too naive for thinking she meant what she said. I mean, if she really cared, why did she betray our trust? My parents are used to people betraying them over money and told me I can do whatever I feel like doing. They had the same thing happen to them with a family member, but with way more money, and they did not do anything about it. I have spent half my life judging them for that decision. Now that I am in a similar situation, I know what to do, but I still have doubts. Opinions? So I don't think you'd be the asshole at all, and I don't think this person is a friend either. Someone said something that really resonated with me. Not the asshole. She's trying to be nice and says she does not care about being fired. She still wants to be in your life. This is because she does not want to be prosecuted for theft. She needs to be let go yesterday. So this person is basically pointing out that they don't care about losing their job, because actually the worst situation of this isn't losing the job. It's being prosecuted for theft because they are stealing. They also said that they knew they weren't doing what they were meant to do and they just kept the money in their account and they oopsies might have spent it. No, they definitely spent it, and it was definitely on purpose. And this friend is clearly using the other person, even putting her name on the lease for the house. That this person would 1000% not be an asshole for firing, and I don't think they should even be friends anymore. As we near the end, this is your gentle reminder to get up, drink some water, relax your face, your shoulders, and maybe even get yourself a little snack. Okay, the next story is, am I the asshole for applying to the same job as my roommate without telling him? My roommate recently applied and got an interview for a job. After he told me about it, I decided to apply as well. For some added context, we have goals in the same industry, and this is not the first time we've applied to the same position, and there's always been an underlying feeling of competition between us. The problem is that my roommate has been vocally desperate to leave his current job for months. He was excited by this opportunity, which he felt he had a strong chance of getting. I'm also on a job hunt, but less urgently. After hearing him talk about the position, I realised it was for a company I had been trying to get a job with for a while and had previously interviewed with them. I decided to apply, but was afraid to say anything to him about it because I knew he might feel upset or like I'm trying to steal his opportunity. I quickly received a response and scheduled an interview, which was a few days before his. Turns out, one of his friends works there, which is how he heard about the open position, and of course, I run into her during my interview. While I'm in the interview, she tells him I was there, and even what date I submitted my application, so he knows I applied after hearing about it from him. I called him afterwards and tried to apologize for keeping it a secret, and explained I didn't have malicious intent. It's clear he's bothered, but he doesn't say much over the phone. Later, my other roommate more or less speaks up for him and tells me I'm sick and what I did was fucked up. He believes I chose career over friendship. Neither of them have spoken to me further in the last few days, despite my efforts to apologize and explain myself. Personally, I don't think I did anything wrong by applying to the job, which I'm sure I would have eventually applied to anyways, even if he hadn't told me, as it was in my Indeed job feed. But I do think it was wrong of me to keep it as a secret from him. It does come across as shady, since I applied after he told me about it. I feel like this is being blown out of proportion though, considering our history of vying for the same positions. So am I the asshole? This guy was obviously an asshole. He kept it a secret. I think the clear difference between now and the other ones is that it was not a secret, but this time he's keeping it a secret. And he kept it a secret, continued. He didn't come to him and say, hey, I did this. He got outed by someone else. Someone said, you're the asshole. Hey, that sounds like a great opportunity. Do you mind if I apply as well? Is a sentence a good friend and decent person would say under the circumstances, but you didn't. And someone responded and said, sounds like you are a snake in the grass lying in wait. Good job. Someone else said, I decided to apply but was afraid to say anything to him about it because I knew he might feel upset or like I'm trying to steal his opportunity. That's exactly what you did. He found this opportunity through his network and you just swooped in. Do your own homework, OP. You're the asshole. So this person was also labeled the asshole, and I completely agree. They're an asshole. I understand having a history of applying for the same jobs, but clearly in those times they had communicated with each other and talked about it. There's 84 comments on this and every single one is saying that they are the asshole. So yeah, it's clear that they're the asshole and I agree. Okay, our second to last story is a little bit of a controversial one. Am I the asshole for yelling at a grocery store worker? I am fully aware the title makes me out to be the asshole, but I feel I was in the right for voicing my opinion. I, 17, live with my grandfather, 80. We were doing our fortnightly grocery shop. This was a pretty big shop this time round, so we had a lot of items. There was one person in front of us who didn't have many things, and a lady behind us with one item. The worker, in her 60s, had finished checking out the people's items in front of us and then turned to a person who walked up to the service desk wanting a refund, which can take some time. We stood there for around 10 minutes waiting for her to start scanning our items. My grandfather, the lady behind us, and myself were all shaking our head. Halfway through the scanning our groceries, another lady in her 70s walked up to the service desk and waited because she was supposed to get 10% off and it didn't go through. Another worker in her 30s walked up to the worker scanning our groceries and asked her to fix the lady's discount. As soon as I heard this, the other worker asked her to fix the discount, which this worker was going to stop what she was doing and help this lady. I was livid. I marched over to the other worker and yelled at her, no, we've waited for 15 minutes already. You can wait 5 more, and walked back to the checkout. The other worker was stunned. I then thought that the lady who needed help might have thought I was yelling at her, so I turned to her and said, I'm sorry about that, by the way. I wasn't yelling at you, I was yelling at the worker. And she said, no, it's okay, I knew that. I was supposed to get 10% off and it didn't work. I don't mind waiting. After paying, we left very annoyed. I feel bad for yelling, but we were very sick of waiting. So am I the asshole for yelling at a grocery store worker? Yes. You're not the asshole for complaining, but OP is the asshole for yelling. You don't need to yell. Someone said, you're the asshole for making yelling your automatic go-to. You could have spoken up and expressed yourself in various other ways. There is no reason to shout, especially since it sounds like you were yelling at the newly arrived worker who didn't know the full situation with how long you had already been waiting. Another person said, everyone sucks here. This was not handled properly by the employees, but it did not warrant yelling. You could have certainly handled this in a more diplomatic way. The employee scanning your groceries should have said that she'd be happy to help with the lady's discount once she was done helping y'all, or ask the other employee to take over for her so she could go deal with this issue at the service desk. Regardless, you could have calmly said, excuse me, we've been waiting 15 minutes already and you're in the middle of checking us out. Could you please finish up with this before helping someone else? Agree. Also, why does this person know everyone's age? That's what I noticed while reading this. A worker is in her 60s, another lady in her 70s. This guy has some superpower that we don't know about where he just knows everyone's age. Anyway, this guy's definitely an asshole for yelling. Now we have my favourite story, which I've left till the last. Am I the asshole? I feel my boyfriend and his mother have a toxic codependent relationship. I, 25F, have come to my boyfriend's 24M house for vacation. Whenever his mother and I are left alone, she starts talking about her son's marriage and keeps explaining what an ideal daughter-in-law, which mostly doesn't match me, is, but I was still ignoring it until all this happened. First, she told me she wants a younger woman to be her daughter-in-law. Then she started asking about my mother, single mum's salary, and how much property she has. Then she suddenly said that my mum shouldn't be building a good house since she doesn't have a son like she has. And now there's no hope for my mother that there will be anyone to ever take care of her, as I am the daughter and I will go off to live with my husband and mother-in-law, which of course she is referring to them. And she also went on and added that my mother shouldn't come and live with me because it's not the tradition. She always talks in a baby voice with my boyfriend and snuggles with him any chance she gets. She even tells me that her son can't share her with anyone. She even asked me to convince my boyfriend to leave his job in the city and come down to his hometown so that she can live with him. They take 3 yearly trips, and she states she always wants to be around him. In front of my boyfriend, she shows that she is very supportive of his choices, but in front of me, she says that her son doesn't share stuff with her and has started taking his own decisions. I have had a talk with my boyfriend about all of these, and he said that we only have a few more days left in this trip, and since we are not married, he cannot talk to his mother about it. But even these few days are feeling too long for me, since I am really uncomfortable with their relationship dynamic. So am I the only one who thinks it's weird, and she sees me kind of as competition rather than as a partner to her son? This person is definitely 100% not the asshole, and that's crazy behavior. I can only assume it's cultural differences, but still. Someone said, not the asshole. Run now before you waste any more time. The red flags are waving. He's a mama's boy and will try to compete with you forever. It isn't worth the hardship you will face. And then someone responded to that saying, not the asshole. Clear red flags. Your boyfriend needs to have your back, but right now, he's letting his mum walk all over you. Set boundaries now or forever hold your peace. 100% agree this person has to set boundaries, and the boyfriend has to step up to his mum and be like, hey, I will do these things, but these things are not okay. And one of those things that's not okay, 100%, is explaining what an ideal daughter-in-law is to your son's girlfriend and not matching her description at all, and then also absolutely fucking dogging on your son's girlfriend's mother. Like, that's just, why even bring that up? That's crazy. This person is definitely not the asshole, and I think just some communication needs to happen here. Well, that was the last video. I hope you've been able to focus and get some stuff done. Let me know in the comments your opinions on these stories, especially the losing weight one, because honestly, that was wild. Let me know if you have any recommendations for games you want me to play or subreddits you want me to read. This is my very first video, so I'd appreciate the feedback and a like or a subscribe if you enjoyed it. And just remember, you are loved and everything is going to be okay.